What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. I want to take a look at two dynamic welterweight champions, Barney Ross and Jimmy McLaurin. Now, Barney Ross was born December 23, 1909 in New York, New York. He died January 17, 1967 in Chicago, Illinois. He was a lightweight, junior welterweight, and welterweight. But he would hold the welterweight and lightweight championship simultaneously. Now, the only other fighter to do that would be Tony Canzoneri. Henry Armstrong would be a three-time and three-weight division champion and hold those titles simultaneously. Featherweight, welterweight, and lightweight championship. That's the distinction difference. Barney Ross's family moved to Chicago after living in New York. At the age of 2, they would relocate Barney Ross to Maxwell Street, which is the ghetto section in Chicago. Now, Barney Ross's dad would open up a grocery store. In order to keep that grocery store alive, he would have to borrow some money from the mob. And unfortunately for the dad, due to circumstances that he couldn't control, he couldn't pay the mob back, and gangsters would kill him. And his mom would suffer from nerve distractions, and she would wind up having a nervous breakdown. And so Barney Ross's siblings would be relocated to an orphanage. And Barney Ross would run the streets, he would drop out of high school, and he would commit petty crimes for the mob king, Al Capone. He would become a street fighter, then eventually an amateur fighter, and he would win the 1929 Golden Gloves in Chicago. He would become a champion. Now, during those days, an amateur champion was like being a superstar. He would turn professional, and he would win a 10-round decision over Tony Canzoneri on June 23, 1933. Now, he would hold the lightweight and the junior welterweight championship both at the same time. On September 18, 1933, Ross would once again defeat Tony Canzoneri and win a 15-round decision and hold both titles simultaneously. Now, Ross would move up to the welterweight division, and he would face Jimmy McLaurin. May 24th, 1934, he would meet this Canadian superstar who would wind up becoming an outstanding welterweight champion. He would lose the title and win it back, and they would have some awards. He would meet him November 27th, 1936. Then eventually he would face Severino Garcia on September 23rd, 1937. And eventually in 1938, he would lose his welterweight championship strap to none other than the great Henry Armstrong. But Barney Ross would be some fighter. And that trilogy with Jimmy McLaurin would be something else. Now, Jimmy McLaurin was born December 19, 1909 in Hillsborough, Ireland. He would die October 28, 2004. He was 96 years of age at the time of his death. And he would pass away in Richmond, Washington. Now, Richmond, Washington is a very small town. But he would have total bouts of 68. 54 wins, 21 knockouts, 11 losses with 3 draws. Jimmy's dad, Sam McLaurin, was a minister. He was a Methodist from Dublin. And he was described as a typical Dublin Irishman. He traveled to Ireland, Britain to work. Now, family would move to Vancouver, Canada after a hard winter storm. At the age of 10, Jim McLaurin would become an amateur star. After being seen by Pop Foster, McLaurin would lose his first title fight at the age of 21. Now, May 21st, 1928, in New York, against the champion lightweight, Sammy Mindell. He would defeat young Corbett III and then have a 3-war series with the legendary Barney Ross. This would perhaps be the greatest war in welterweight history. After facing fighters such as Henry Armstrong, Severino Garcia, Tony Canzoneri, this puts Barney Ross in a class all by himself. He was in there with Lou Ambers as well. Lou Ambers would win a lightweight championship twice. And he would win it, but he would lose it to the legendary Henry Armstrong. Then he would eventually lose it to Lou Jenkins. So Barney Ross and Jimmy McLarnin were two outstanding welterweight champions. I want to commend both fighters for 3 legendary wars and enter them both in the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series and those 3 legendary fights as well. Thanks for hanging in there with me. This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series, stating all great fights and all great fighters will never be forgotten on my channel. Salute to these fighters. Salute to my subscribers. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Salute.